Oh, we lost Tanner. Hold on. I'm live without the guest of honor. The guy who runs the show is on it. What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? We are live. All right, on your Thursday night. Get your real news from the TOC Monkey. This is probably one of my most excited shows we've launched. We didn't do one last week because of Memorial Day weekend and the Two Panther reunion. But we're here now, and we're going to have an awesome topic as long as what Big Chief is doing is his internet working, and he looks a little frozen right now, so hopefully we're okay. Now he's off again, so hopefully he comes back on. But hey, in the meantime, while we're waiting, I just wanted to throw a few things out there. If you go back 2 weeks ago and watch the TOC Monkey, and we got Tanner, who is a PhD candidate, and then you got me, the Big Earl, who's just a grunt. That's all I am. And I said, the reason that we're in Iran is because we don't care about our gas prices. And we'll pay our gas prices. We don't care. What we want to do is stress out Iran. So Big Earl gets to put his I told you so hat on, which is the last time the Milwaukee Brewers were in the World Series, 1982, out of the American League. But that's what we're not going to talk about that. But Tanner, you good? You got us? You on there?
I think so, man.
No.
I think I'm trying to.
I got you. I hear you.
I hear you. Buy like a better computer. You hearing me clear?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Hey, go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. Put in the code VTTGW. Buy some of our shirts. We will take that money and we will buy Tanner a new computer. Now, before Tanner tells us what the TOC Monkey is going to talk about today, I have a special thing for Tanner. To wit, somebody is going to discuss your preparation for this show and how upset he is. Yeah. So without further ado, please bring the chair over.
Oh, what's up, Trash Talkers?
Surprise guest.
Let me get my drink here.
Oh, man.
Cheers.
So we can blame everything that Tanner's having problems with on this guy right here, who was supposed to train him on how to do PCCs, PCIs, and get things going.
I thought I did a good job, Nick. Thought I did a good job. Guys over here plugging in mics at the last second, trying to turn. Big Earl's telling them,
it's a shit
turn it off, turn it back on again. That's that's all you know about troubleshooting radios.
You got to blow in the cartridge.
What do you do?
Yeah. You got to lick it before you stick it.
Definitely have to like. Yep. Yeah. There was mistakes were made. I was on cheer dad duty today, so I've been driving around like an asshole. And I've absolutely just it's been one of those. We had a high school graduation today for the JROTC kids. That was awesome. So yeah, man, it's been a day. I wanted to recap. Hey man, we got to see each other last week. We missed Pat out there in lovely Fayetteville, North Carolina, but we had the 2P reunion. I got to catch General Ferris's speech, and yeah, man, definitely worth the 6 minutes. So everybody, please check that out. And then what else do we do? What else do we get into, Nick?
Made some money at the Woodpeckers game on number 1. Shout out to the away team.
That was ridiculous.
No big deal.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, and that we just just celebrated life and celebrated friendship and everybody that got together for that 20-year reunion. And then 2P past, present, all that was a great time. Did PT with Charlie Company 2P, and like I said, I made it 3/4 of a mile. Don't tell the VA, all right? It is what it is. But I don't know if you caught what I was saying while we were waiting for you to figure your shit out about I get to wear the I told you so hat.
Right.
Yeah. I
missed that.
No. So remember last week, and you shared it in your clip where I was like, Americans are going to bitch about $5 gas, but we're going to fill our tank.
Yeah.
But we're going to hurt Iran a lot more with those oil prices and depleting their supply. And now, I mean, I know it's mainstream media, but they're starting to take the Big Earl's narrative. I'm just saying, even CNN reported about it, how Iran's down to 30% of their oil. So I don't know how true that is. I figured the TOC Monkey might figure that out, but I said I get to wear that I told you so hat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely disagree with you, but I do appreciate that you think that, and I respect your opinion.
I turned on Fox News and they said it. And I'm like, you know what? I got to go to CNN. Went to CNN and they said it too.
Yeah, they were doing So yeah, I caught it, and they were like a 60-day ceasefire, which was interesting to me because like when I started, you know how that goes. But it's like, okay, so nothing's changed because we're already in the ceasefire, and then we did self-defensive strikes, which is a fancy way of saying, we're just going to kill them, which is what depending on how you feel about Iranians, like probably we should be doing a lot more of that, in my personal opinion. But yeah, no, Iran doing Iran things, man, is my opinion, right? And while they are hurting on the oil front, and we definitely talked about that last week, I still stand by my analysis that the ruling class in Iran cares 0% about their population, and they're still making money because now they're smuggling over land borders. And there's this larger problem, which is what we're going to discuss this week, that I think people need to understand about the Middle East. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think when a lot of people say, okay, well, the Arab countries, or we talk about the Middle East in general, we have a bad habit of grouping them all together as like this monolithic thing because, it's OPEC and it's those guys. And I think what we're seeing is we've kind of landed in the middle of like a Cold War between certain factions of like the Arab world. Primarily what we're going to discuss today is we're going to go to AFRICOM because we're going to talk about Sudan, but it's one of the hottest fronts of this Cold War that's going on between Saudi Arabia and the UAE. But we got to rewind a little bit. So let me see let's see if I think this is what's been killing us, but let me see if I can pull the screen.
Yeah, and I'll turn it on when we get up there. But those of you watching, go to TOCMONKEY.com, right? It's not .org, is it?
No, shouldn't be. It's still working. The site's still up. That's the only thing I got that's working.
What's it called, though? Make sure I get it right again. Boom.
Yeah. Boom.
All right. So what is it? TOCMONKEY.what?
Right, so TOCMONKEY.com.
Yeah, you're watching, go to TOCMONKEY.com and you can see this, and you're going to see exactly what the chief is watching. And again, if you care about sports, he's got the ticker going. And I keep saying, if you want to increase church attendance, put a live ticker up of sports.
Crawl at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm listening to the pastor, but I'm seeing the football scores, right? Like,
especially like on Masters Sunday.
Yeah. Like, I need to know what I'm getting into here. Am I leaving church early or am I staying? Right? Like, if there's a shootout going on, I'm leaving early. Like,
hopefully there's not a shootout at church.
No, I'm telling you.
I mean, depending on what church you go to, like the evangelicals, man. Oh man, I'll catch hell for this when they see it. But it's like, the choir's up there singing a little sports ticker, just a little, just.
And the good Lord said, "What a shot by Tiger Woods!" No,
oh Lord. I forgot to give you this hat. I'm gonna send you one.
Yeah. You gotta send me one.
Pat,
Don't send Pat one.
All right.
Send him a core hat. No.
Core hat?
18th Airborne Corps hat.
Proud veteran of the 18th Airborne Corps.
Yeah. But hey, go to TOCMONKEY.com and pull this up while Tanner's talking about it. We're gonna get after it. We're gonna get after the Cold War.
Yeah.
What we got? What we got, TOC Monkey? What are we looking at?
What you have to understand is there's two factions right now inside of Sudan. The SAF, and then you have the RSF. And they've been, a lot of you can follow along with this, but most of this war has been ongoing, right? And most know when like South Sudan split out, and obviously everybody just generally will say, I think the majority of the West has heard of a section of Sudan called Darfur, and that is primarily where the RSF is based out of. And then they had a pretty good push where they actually controlled the capital, and then they kind of got pushed out, right? And now it's still contested. You can see the line. The KMZ on this is a little wonky. I'm still working on a scaling, but buying a Google Pro map layer. Them don't come cheap. And then it'll live feed off of that. But essentially, this gives you the idea that just, for lack of better terms, about 30% of the country is controlled by the RSF, which is going to be our axis of idiot number one asshole that we'll discuss a little bit later. And then the SAF is what is recognized as kind of the the rest of the world looks at the SAF as like the legitimate, as much as you can say legitimate government that they have. What is interesting about them is their primary resource right now is two front. Really, it's the gold that they have and the gold mines. And they smuggle that out one of two ways, and it depends on which faction it is. Now, back to our Cold War aspect. What?
You saw the story? I missed it. No, the CIA operative in Virginia where they just found $40 million in gold bars in his house?
Yeah, the bar. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, probably. I'd believe it. I mean, they produce a significant amount of oil, not oil. Sorry, gold. And they funnel about $2 billion a year through the Middle East through a couple different factions. And that really is what we're having. So the gold is what funds it. So that when everybody's like, well, why can't they just get along? Well, don't think about them as real countries, as we've been kind of harping on around here. Kind of nationwide, or worldwide, we're kind of in like the rise of the oligarchs again. And so you just have to think about them as warlords, for lack of a better term, because that's how they conduct themselves. But what is interesting is not necessarily the gold funds it, which is why Saudi Arabia and kind of what's left of the Gulf coalition. So your traditional guys, like Kuwait, Saudi, that clan, and then you have the UAE, who is aligned with the RSF. Now, Russia used to be aligned with the RSF, and then there's been a couple of flip-flops. And even at one point, the UAE was with the SAF, but they flipped. And the reason they primarily flip is because of which gold mines are controlled and which smuggling routes are still active. And so what you have is the RSF funneling $2 billion a year of gold back to the UAE, where they melt it down. And then it gets distributed, like they have the refineries right there in UAE or the whatever, the plants, I guess, right, where they process this gold and they sell it worldwide. And the UAE has made a friend with the leader, who will call he's the butcher of Darfur, and he's going to be you saw the clip of him there at the beginning. He's kind of like our asshole of the week, right? And his name's I always mess this up because I could give a shit less because he's just an asshole. But it's Mohammed Hamdan Dalago.
Not gonna work anymore. Not gonna live anymore.
Yeah. So we'll just call him. It's slang term or nickname is Hamidity, and then his kind of what he's coined by worldwide is he's the butcher of Darfur. Interesting fella. Started out as a camel trader, right? You want to talk about you can come to America and live out the American dream and do anything you want. Well, the Darfur dream looks a little bit different, and it requires you to kill tens of thousands of people. Yeah. I mean, so because this man, and now again, kids, don't be a warlord and don't be a genocidal maniac, but he went all the way from being a camel hurdler to he owns a subdivision at Trump's golf course out there in the UAE. Right? He owns like if you look at it, it's literally like Trump's golf course is right here, and he owns like a gated community where his entire family stays, and he flies in and out of the UAE to go kill people in Western Sudan and try to win his fight, right? And so that's kind of his thing. Now, this is where it gets complicated. Do you remember he was Colonel Buzzard? He was 3rd Brigade's commander for a while, yep. Panther 6.
Yep.
So
he was there when he got wounded.
No shit.
Yeah. So right after that story goes. Yeah.
Damn. That's a hard dude. I'm a fan. He's the NATO. He's like the DCG for NATO or something in Europe. I don't want to get his title completely wrong, but he's got the Ukraine mission right now. And then I think Donahue is above him. The task orgs over there confuse me sometimes, but whatever. He's way up there doing great things in Yukon. But he said something in 2015 when we deployed with 2P. He came out to where were we at? We were at Taji, and he comes out there and he's like, this really is like 5D chess, guys. And I really didn't understand. I was just like, okay. But like he really was talking about the difference between of like how, the militias, and that was really like at our level, right? Like we're trying to, the PMF versus KH versus whatever other assholes were out there doing their things. But I've gained to appreciate how much more as you expand out on this conflict and where we're at now, what really is all the different power brokers. And that's truly what we're seeing right now. So you have the UAE with our Hamidity Butcher of Darfur asshole, and that's their guy, right? Well, he's their guy, yes, because he's funneling a lot of gold to him, so they keep him protected. But really, this is about the Red Sea, right? So as much as we're looking at the Strait of Hormuz, what Sudan gives and what we've seen with China at the port of Sudan, who's back in, and then Russia, what they all want is Red Sea ports, right? And just like, so for instance, when this war kicked off, and somewhat little headline, but a big part of the calculation for what the POTUS is dealing with right now is Saudi Arabia flipped their pipeline that runs across, and they can push 7 million barrels a day to the Red Sea essentially, and then bring it through there, right? So while their production and output has been smaller because of like the infrastructure strikes and things that we've seen, what's really happening is, and this is what I'm going back to that Cold War aspect, and almost I'll give you a little bit of credit for what you were talking about last week, where he was, we talked about the POTUS wanting to change the world order. You get a little bit of credit. And we had a conversation about, just trying to remake it. Well, this is Saudi Arabia is going to hold what they got, because the longer the Strait of Hormuz issue, this is Tanner analysis now, right? This isn't, you probably won't see it in the news, but I think they're postured to survive it a little bit, as long as it doesn't get too hot and Iran doesn't death blossom like oil refineries, right? Because it's building the pipeline that comes, or it's establishing the trade route of moving Saudi oil out through the Red Sea, right? Well, along with that comes the need for ports to be able to have it, and that's what Sudan provides. And the Saudis back the SAF, which is the other faction, also guilty of atrocities all over. Not good, there's not a really, you really do have to feel for just like your everyday Sudanese person, because we're at like 300 to 400,000 people killed. It's the largest humanitarian crisis in the world. You're not going to see it on the news because, and so that's the pivot.
Well, yeah, it's actually too depressing to show on the news. And then, like you called it, a humanitarian crisis. Do you know why? I'm going to put this question to the audience, but do you know why it's called a humanitarian crisis and not genocide?
Semantics.
But genocide is a big word. If genocide gets declared by the UN, then we have to act.
Yeah, right? Somebody's got to do something.
Right. And genocide was this is my nerd brain coming in, because when I saw Tanner's topic, I was like, okay, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, I used to read books, I used to study history. Yeah. And I'm like, wait. And then you brought up the Cold War. I'm in this wheelhouse. Genocide wasn't a word until 1947. And it was a Raphael Lemkin, a Jewish lawyer, that was running around Nuremberg trials going, call this genocide, call this genocide. And it's like, I have to make a word up that there's no other meaning, right? And when the UN, I think in 48, said, hey, this is genocide, the United States didn't ratify it until 1971, because if we would have ratified it in 48 with the statute of limitations, they could have came at the United States for genocide on the Indians. So we didn't ratify it until 1971.
Shout out to the Lumpy Tribe for getting your recognition.
Yeah, the last ones to be federally recognized.
Yeah. And again, like I said, we control the world. America controls the UN, right? We control NATO, like it's us, right? And so we're like, yeah, let's ease up on ratifying that right away, Congress. Let's wait about 25 years. We
don't need that smoke.
But hey, so just to say what you're saying now, go into that like the Cold War aspect, because now we're allowing things to happen in countries so that our priority gets met. What is that priority to the United States? And like you said, now you got the two factions, one by UAE, one by Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So to give that a little bit more context, but not to just like ultimately confuse anybody, you almost have to go back to, and it made big news. It was in Trump's first term when Qatar got banged up pretty good for funding, terrorism, right? Well, here's the problem, like Qatar has the largest American air base in the, like, I think in the world. We got 10,000 soldiers there. I mean, we've moved out quite a few for this conflict, but the air base or the 2 air bases we have in Qatar, well, Saudi Arabia wanted to invade Qatar, right? And Trump was kind of like, this is what, arguably got Tillerson starting to get fired. And his first one is Tillerson was trying to be like, hey, we're neutral here. And Trump was like, nah, my boy MBS, we got this. We got a little ahead of his skis. And so then there was that blockade moment where everybody kind of freaked out. That really was the first faction where we saw it, like the Arab world really. I mean, if you're paying attention, you knew it split, but that was like the most open case, right? Of like these, the OPEC countries really starting to get at each other, and really the beginning of the end from like the Gulf Council, which used to be like the coalition that they had. And so that's when the UAE kind of looked at it, and, Iran was funneling money to Qatar to kind of prop them up at that time, right? Qatar, for the guys that don't understand out there, like Qatar is like where Al Jazeera is based at, right? And so when Saudi Arabia first was when MBS was really starting to like assert his power, and then he ends up killing that reporter a couple of years later. But what he was doing was like they were trying to, you have the action arm of like, whatever you feel about Al Jazeera, it's a unique outlet, right? Like there's not, you've heard of it, right? And it doesn't always have the friendliest coverage to Saudi Arabia. And so there was this movement where, okay, Iran is backing a country that is literally, on the border with Saudi Arabia. And then we base it, but the Americans had this huge air base there. And now we're kind of starting to see open diplomatic conflict. That changes, obviously, at one point, the UAE and Saudi Arabia were on the same side down in Yemen. Now that's gone away. Our asshole Butcher Darfur guy actually supplied troops to the UAE to fight in Yemen. So the RSF, these guys that are stuck out in Western Sudan right now, used to fight inside of Yemen, right? So it's just really, it's a quagmire shit show. Right. But ultimately, you got to take a step back and understand that the UAE wants to be the preeminent power in the Middle East, right? They're not cool with Big Brother Saudi Arabia telling them what to do. And they have some advantages into that. And one of their primary advantages is they don't have a big population. So when you see Israel gives the UAE the Golden Dome, that doesn't play well in Saudi Arabia amongst the population, right? Like the majority of Saudis, even though the ruling class, I think Trump said it the other day, it was wild. He came out, he's like, he really didn't do his boy a solid. He's like, MBS would recognize like Israel tomorrow if his dad wasn't there. There was a comment or something. It's like, I'm sure MBS was super excited.
Trump says what comes into his mind, bro. We all know that. Like,
I mean, he was 10 toes down, but I'm sure MBS was sitting there like, oh, bro, if you could not, that'd be like when you walk into your house and like, you're it's like getting caught by your mom hammered or something like that, right? Like if you could just not like do that, that'd be really cool, or embarrass me. Like, so he put him in a unique spot, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the UAE doesn't have that problem, right? Their population it's a very small ruling class, very small tribe. They have a bunch of money. They get UFC out there all the time, right? They funnel all this stuff. And so they're able to be a lot more liberal and progressive. And they've used that to entice the West, I think, to like align more with how they want to see, Middle Eastern power structures kind of fluctuate. And so that's what made the Red Sea even more important to Saudi Arabia. So that's where I'm not optimistic that this will, great. There's a ceasefire, which all the Arab countries besides, Iran's not Arab, but like they're going to sigh relief because they're just worried Iran's going to death blossom like all the infrastructure for the energy, right? Which I think and they could do it. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah,
like Saudi Arabia, Iran still has enough ballistic missile capability to mess up a lot of refineries and swing pretty hard. But that's also why you saw the UAE get upset. Like when the UAE who was it? It was, UAE got hit a couple times and we didn't break the ceasefire. That sets, we're trying to signal to the Arab world that, okay, we're trying to stay out of it. We don't want to pick a winner. Because the second we pick a winner here, this is separate from Iran, y'all. I know this is all over the place, so stick with me, right? Separate from Iran, it is not in American interest to pick a winner, right? Because if you pick UAE, Saudi Arabia is going to be pissed, right? And there will be consequences for that, and not necessarily kinetic ways, but you will see them, right? At the gas pump for sure.
Hey, hold on real quick. Hey, Damian Rojas. Yeah, thanks for following us on Gruntworks. Go to YouTube and watch if you don't like Facebook, or go to X and watch. You can watch it on Tanner Ports and or Veteran Trash Talk on X, and then go to TOCMONKEY.com and you'll see exactly what Tanner's talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Nah, man, you got. Yeah, just tell me to shut up whenever I need to, because this is a difficult one. But guys, this is what I think. This is what I'm trying to accomplish, is to take. I got all these damn notes. You know what I mean? Like, like it's one of those things where if you're wondering why it's not just going so smooth, it's because there's about 10 different countries that all have extremely different strategic interests, and they all have their own end game. And we ain't even talked about Turkey. We're going to talk about those assholes later. But NATO ally, also assholes.
Yeah. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. Can't invade Cuba for having nuclear weapons because Russia will invade Turkey.
Yeah, with your face. Lord have mercy. But if y'all go to TOC Monkey and you look at where like Djibouti is at, and then you look at Sudan, and then Egypt, I don't know if we can pull it back up, Nick, so I can walk them through it. It might make it a little bit easier.
Hey, Damien, go to YouTube and put in Veteran Trash Talk. I do appreciate your lingo, but it's right there. You can go there to follow that. You picked the one podcast to come on.
So you can see my little.
We accept.
So you got this RSF shindig right here, right? Then you got SAF going on over here, right on the east side. Sweet little hand moving around. I think I can change that icon one day to like a flashlight or something, or pointer. But this is the Red Sea for those that are, uninitiated, right? The Nile River comes down, and you have you see it right there as well. But then that's where the capitalists cart them. Over here is what we were talking about last week with the Strait of Hormuz, right? Primarily, right, we've always said, or what we talked about last week, is that 20% of the world's oil comes through there and comes out this way, right? Well, like I said, now Saudi Arabia is pushed to these ports along this coast, 7 million barrels a day, right? And so now they're opening up the Red Sea. Saudi Arabia sees that a way is to stay away from kind of Saudi Arabia's BS, for a lack of a better term. Or not Saudi Arabia sees that a way is like to strategically distance themselves from Iran, right? But if you look at the map, there's another country up there. There's 2 of them. One of the biggest losers in this is Kuwait, because they have no way to get their shit out, right? And then Iraq also has a pretty significant problem here, right? At Basra, right? And so you got these 2 who, for those that are initiated, right? Iraq has an Iran problem, right? The PMF and the Shia has yeah. So like Iraq and Kuwait, it'll be interesting to see how Iraq and Kuwait operate here. I know when everybody freaked out, like when Iran shot a ballistic missile at Kuwait, and I'm glad that they stopped it, right? But there's a reason they didn't shoot at Saudi Arabia, and there's a reason that they didn't shoot right then at Oman or any of the other countries, because Kuwait's the one that's under the most pressure, and it's not just because we're there, right? It's because they are feeling it, right? But when you have big brother Saudi Arabia, who could be like, we'll be all right, like I'm getting my stuff out, right? And then you have Iraq, who is, for a lot of people look at them as just an Iran proxy, or at least factions of it are, right? The rest of their world not caring about them too much right now. That's why you have where Kuwait would love to see the strait open up. Saudi Arabia is making a calculation they can hold on, keep this Red Sea route going. And then they also own the port of, where they have control of the port of Sudan through their proxy down there, which is the SAF. Right. And so then, okay, if we can control the Red Sea, we can get enough ports out there, we can flip, right, our, a lot of our, at least output, and survive this and weaken the UAE, who is absolutely feeling the brunt of this. right? And that's kind of where we're at, right? Like, and so when you understand it, back to Sudan right here, that the gold mines are funding like the UAE, that now they have a proxy army that can harass Saudi Arabia without them going into direct conflict with them, right? So I'm not going to be surprised if you start seeing, or more, I mean, they're out there, but the RSF turns up their heat, right, on the SAF, and we start seeing attacks at places like the Port of Sudan, and things like that. And that's all just right here, right? Because they can get through, the RSF is able to come around, right? They have, that's Chad down there, like they can get their oil and everything out. And then Somalia is a complete shit show, right? So like there's ways to maneuver around just like what SAF holds. It's a very, well, I have this clean line here. It's not a great way to look at it. I don't know. I might get fancy here. I wonder if I
get fancy.
You want to try something? See if I can share a different screen, because it's tough to. Let's see if I can pull this off.
Window. You probably can.
Because I was thinking about y'all, and I'm a PowerPoint nerd, and this is just tough to visualize.
Yeah, hey, while he's working on that, hey, right? So everybody knows, this is where you get your real news. All right, get real news from the TOC Monkey. All right, and here we go. We're sharing. What we got?
Boom. All right. Got to do PowerPoint. You know, I'm a staff officer. We'll get better at presenting this stuff, guys. And I just thought the monkey was sweet.
Targeting.
Right? So the purple that you're seeing here, if you can actually see it, I can zoom in.
Yeah, zoom in.
Actually, help you out. Right? The purple is contested, right? Like that's a contested area. So even though the green is the SAF, so the SAF is what the majority of the world recognizes as like the legitimate government of Sudan, and I'm putting that in big ass air quotes, right? And then the RSF has the whole west side, right? And so they're here. But when you look, right, like Chad through Libya, right? Our old friends Libya, right?
Exactly.
I bet Obama's like, you don't know how to do a special military operation. I just went in there, bombed everybody, killed the guy, and bounced. Anyway,
nobody said a word there.
I mean, looking back, we were kind of hard on them for Libya, huh? Like, if we could just be honest.
Yeah, we almost jumped in there.
We did.
Yeah, we almost jumped in there.
That's why I got married.
Yeah, we were down at JRTC. I heard the LPD turned into like we're gonna.
They started giving us.
Frankie V was like he told me like a year later. Frankie V's like we were all gonna die. Like, that was
they started giving us maps and shit. Just Charlie Company. They're like, hey, you're about to jump in with old regimental commander in 375. So,
Evans.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say his name, but
he was the man.
But yeah, you're good.
Oh my bad. Yeah. That was a cold photo of him. He was there
in the situation.
He was in the room when they killed Baghdad.
That was awesome.
He died like a dog. Like I was watching that Shane Gillis.
Like beautiful dog.
But yeah, so Chad's a problem, right? Because the UAE. So let me be clear: the UAE is not broadcasting to the world that they're backing the RSF. Now, yes, they let them buy a subdivision on Trump's golf course. Which just cracked me up. Anyway, it's about it's like $90 million worth of like, it's really nice. I was checking it out on Google Earth. Y'all go look at it. But yeah, Trump International Dubai. So if you ever, they always, for some reason, you always see the women's tournaments out there. Like the girls play out there a lot, the ladies. But so like Rory
plays in Dubai.
Well, he's a man.
Yeah. Too. Well, no, but he plays in the Dubai one for the WPT or whatever the
DP World Tour.
DP World Tour. Yeah. Plays in that one.
Nice. Yeah. Well, when they were like on number 7, when you're in Vegas, they got the spear.
Yeah, Damien, we told you to go to YouTube. All right. And right, why did this problem not happen with Biden? This problem's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried to do a decent job. We went all the way back to the Arab Spring, guys. Like, damn,
we went back 15 years ago. Like, come on.
Yeah, if you learn nothing else, like that's why I'm trying to be disciplined. I'm making fun of the golf course thing, but like I try to say POTUS, y'all, and I'm trying to look, if you think one person can control this shit show, like you need to go, I don't know.
Watch episode 1 2 weeks ago. Big Earl explains the office of the POTUS and how there is even in the Cold War, like Tanner was mentioning, this is the new Cold War for Saudi Arabia and UAE. There's guys in the Situation Room for 20 straight years on record, no matter who the president was. Like that guy, that's the guy. You ask that guy what to do, and that guy goes,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, and that's when people like the victory laps people are taking on either side, right? Whether you're like, oh, look what he did. Okay, guys, like you just don't. It's okay to say you don't know, right? Like I'm a big believer in that, and like as somebody who tries to pay attention to this, I can give you what I think some countries might do. But again, these are not representative democracies,
right?
So if you're like, oh, it really sucks for Iran right now.
Before we get too off topic, I want to talk about one thing. Like, again, you follow the Big Earl on social media or my other page is I will go balls to the wall on local issues, right? I will make sarcastic ass posts, comments about all those. When it comes to international, I'm very quiet because like Tanner said, and I will say it out loud to everybody, I don't know, right? We are going to find out. And you know what? I might call Tanner and go, what is going on over here? What does the TOC Monkey say? Go to the TOC Monkey, right? Go to the TOC Monkey, follow it, TOCMONKEY.com, follow it. But yeah, Tanner, let's get to this. Let's get to this butcher of Darfur. What are we talking about?
All right. So humidity, like I said, he's our camel farmer, right? He's out there. I made like a better note sheet for him just because he's a special kind of asshole, right? So tribally, right? He kind of rises. He earned his name, right? He becomes just a brutal guy, and he kind of. I hate doing this, but it's like the only way for our audience. So if you think of the Bedouins, right? Not in the sense of like who the Bedouins are, but like just how they move and like tribally, like what they do. Like when you look at, so I'm not comparing it to, I'm just trying to give you all a way to conceptualize the way that this guy rose to power, right? Or let's just do that. If you're think about, if you're Peaky Blinders fans out there, like the Gypsies, right? Like stuff like that. You got this very, the tribal clan nature of like Western Sudan at that time, right? He gets the camel guys together and he's like, we could take this shit over, right? And I'm dramatically oversimplifying, right?
Genghis Khan being able to,
a tale as old as time.
All of them together.
Yeah. So he gets this coalition. His first real introduction, right, is the Adwa massacre. He kills, and that's a village in Darfur, right? And this is all the way back in 2004 for those people thinking that this is, a current POTUS problem, right? Yeah. Okay, so while some of you guys while we had guys going to Iraq and we're sitting in Afghanistan, this dude killed 126 civilians, including 36 children, mass rape. The African Union, for those familiar, right, absolutely identified it was him, right? Like this is the guy that did. They identify his unit, and that's really, and he admits the attack was planned for months, and then this is what gives him his nickname as the Butcher of Darfur. And then that turns into the Darfur War, which I think a lot of us are at least cursory familiar with, right? The Western Sudan stuff. And that goes from 2003 to 2008, right? So now we're in like prime Obama years here right now.
Yep.
Like right around there. And between 200,000 to 400,000 people are killed. It displaces 2.7 million. Again, humanitarian, because we can't call it a genocide, right? Because then we got to do something about it, right? And then he just ends up being one of a preeminent commander, just brutal, and one of the primary guys. So then the ICC comes in with, you're all, war crimes. We get that whole shenanigans that nobody ever follows up on. But Bashir gets another one of the commanders, right, who was kind of like the top dog that he was under. We're all charged, right? Humidity is not charged, and because he was considered too low of a level, but he was the action man, right? Like, so you have the commanders that are in theory ordering this. My personal opinion, this guy wasn't particularly. He's pretty sharp, right? Like he's done pretty well for himself. I think he was acting more alone, but regardless. When kind of this all kind of breaks out there's a little bit of a power vacuum, and then that allows him to come up, right? He's got the Janjaweed, which is like his militia. So for the guy, when we're talking Mac now, like Gypsy Clan type stuff, like he's the Janjaweed guys, right? And then in 2013, he organizes them into the whatchamacallit, Rapid Support Forces, right? And that's where we get, right? He has no military education. Like open source will tell you he had like a 3rd grade education, camel herder, and now he controls a couple gold mines, and that's really we start to see him like rapidly rise. And then he formally kind of makes relationships with the UAE there, and then that's when the smuggling operation starts, and then he solidifies his position, right? And that is kind of his thing. Now, one of the more brutal things he did recently, right? Let's go up to a good one. Well, it's not a good one, right? Just last year. So this is really rough, right? So El Fasher is a city. You can see it right here. Well, we did it off, but it's in Western Sudan, right? And they were kind of losing it, or they were fighting back for it. He sieges the city, right? And basically, they basically pull up, and they like World War I style, essentially just surround this city to get the SAF people out of there. This is actually, they kind of had a breakup, and again, I'm oversimplifying that, so I apologize. Right, but they essentially like, okay, yeah, all the SAF kind of guys, or the people that align with them, or the people that want to leave, go, and they let them walk out of the city, and they kill like 10,000 of them within like 4 days, right? And that was just last year,
right?
And so, and the UAE funds this guy, right? And so, and they kind of get, but they get away with it, for a lack of a better term, right? Because in this region of the world, money talks. And so everywhere. But they have this brutal bulldog. Yeah. I mean, he's something else, man. He is a special kind of asshole. And he's protected, right? He's literally UFC's fighting there on Fight Island and all that stuff. Like, he's sitting in his penthouse, a couple blocks away, watching LPGA swing golf balls, right? And he flies down to UAE, or he flies out to Western Sudan, checks on his gold mines, kills a couple villages worth of people, and just bops right back. And so what all that means for us, or what I would we use it in the targeting community, like as an indicator, right, of people that are trying to figure out who is winning this UAE Saudi Cold War. And I say that because I truly believe Trump's not going to pick a winner here, right? There's no, and it's not a nice thing to say, since we'll never call it a genocide, right? We're not going to go. We're going to ignore this, right? What's going on in Sudan. But so therefore, if we're going to ignore it, what I would tell you is, at least as a policy perspective, is that if you focus on how this battle goes, right, you'll be able to tell how the overarching issue, it'd be like if you were, how are we doing against Russia, and you were watching Vietnam, right? Like if you were an outside party to that, like who's kind of winning back and forth, right? And then when we bounce out of there, okay, well, not a great, Russia was helping, and so was China. You could kind of indicate where we were at on that, right? Sudan is that for the UAE and Saudi Arabia, if that makes sense. It makes sense, right? Yeah. So if you see the news, late breaking, RSF takes the port of Sudan, you can bank money that the UAE is putting it boot to ass to Saudi Arabia, and that they're in a stronger position. But I think from the Western perspective, you will not see us call a winner here. But this is why it's so tough to get an agreement over there with, Iran, because they're all kind of because Iran's just, they have their smuggling networks, and they have their money they're funneling to people. And, now Kuwait's kind of, out on their own. Iraq is always going to have a unique relationship with Iran and their ability to influence their government. And so Saudi Arabia's got to be real smart here, is what my thought is, because in what they have going, again, back to the Cold War status, what the UAE has is the lack of population absolutely allows them to align themselves with the West easier, right? And everybody, all of our, I got friends from back home that like would brag, oh, I went on this badass vacation to Dubai and all this kind of stuff. Like the UAE is really trying to push westernizing, and they can just because of their lack of population. It'll come, protest and throw acid on girls' faces because they're going to schools and all the other shit that they do.
Right.
So does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. And like what the big girl likes to do is put it into grunt terms, and
right.
Like I keep trying to educate some of you is, hey Damien, you're spot on. This is why we started the geopolitical podcast. Like, let me introduce you to Tanner Port. All right, PhD candidate. He's getting after it. I said, get your real news from the TOC Monkey. Go to TOCMONKEY.com. And then get your simplified breakdown, your ChatGPT version, all right, from the Big Earl. And Big Earl going to simplify what Tanner just said, all right? Bad things are happening, and they have been happening for a long time. And I will keep reiterating what I said 2 weeks ago, that look at the president's face when he signed in and put his hand on the Bible and put his other hand up in the air, and then look at his face 2 years later. All right, because he's getting introduced at scale to what Tanner just talked about in one country, right? To where it's like, if you pick a winner here, Mr. President, this is what's going to happen here. So we're better off losing 400,000 here and not 2 million over here, right? Or the dollar, the petrol dollar, going wherever it's going. So again, those of you who, and like Tanner said earlier, want to give the credit or the blame and jump on the side, there is a dark world out there controlled by money, right? And they are idiots out there, the axis of idiots, as Tanner calls it, that are bad people who can take advantage of the fact that we like our $2 gas. We like our, the way our prices are. And again, these countries, they destroy each other. And those presidents have to sit in there with that guy who's been in every administration for the last 10 years going, nope, 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 yep. So, yeah, no, that's the Big Earl layman's terms, is that the Butcher of Defar has top cover. And by top cover, I mean no action. Right? We're not the biggest powerhouse in the world. We're not doing nothing. We're going to let him do what he's doing.
No.
And that's until we get some declassified information on why that is, which we might never see when we're alive, but maybe our kids will, and they'll be like, oh, that's why. So, but again, you want to be in power, you want to make those decisions, this is what you got to deal with. That's the Big Earl's take.
Yeah, it's a wicked one, man. And completely concur. Like, it's in, I think, next week I think we'll do Turkey.
Oh, I love that.
Because they have a, well, because I got a lot of personal experience with those assholes. Again, NATO ally, I got it. Yeah, sweet.
Armenian genocide, which wasn't really a genocide because that word didn't exist yet.
You can't do that.
Yeah. A lot of Armenians in the United States because of what Turkey was doing to them. So,
Nick, before I forget, oh my God, you assholes on Twitter, listen.
Let's do this. Let's do a portion. Let's start a portion. The last 10 minutes of the show, we're gonna call people out.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Right. So for those of you that don't know, and I don't talk about my affiliation, I try not to on here. Right. Like I hold a couple of positions in the VFW. Right. And I do a lot of legislative advocacy. Right. Our number one priority for the VFW, for our commander, right, is to get the Major Richard Starr Act across the finish line. There's been a movement with Congressman, I'm going to mess up his name, Takano or whatever, and he is trying to get people, essentially the same thing they did with the Epstein file stuff, like they want to do a discharge petition, so the vote has to come, right, before. Please contact your congressman, congresswoman, representative. You can go to the VFW website. You can do the action alert. The Disabled Veterans of America also have like an action alert thing. And then you can just search on any social media platform right now, Major Richard Starr Act, and you'll see somebody complaining that Congress isn't doing enough about it. For my two fans out there, first of all, like you, well, there's been a moment, right? And these two lovely gentlemen, they have such a righteous cause. right? But what does my boy say? Very low IQ individuals, and just
what was it 54?
Can't see
54 something. What was it? 54 veterans or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, which for the record, I'm one of, right? If you don't think I want the Major Richard Star Act,
me too. I'm in
do remember that
I want it too.
Yeah, they medically retired him, man. I took a $3,000 pay cut and I didn't get my retirement. You think I don't want this thing across the finish line?
Yeah.
But please, engage your reps. If you have any questions about this, just drop it in the chat and I promise I'll respond to you. But I wanted to say hi to those two gentlemen that have been having a good time roasting me on Twitter. And I know what you said, Nick, and hopefully it comes. I would love for them to be able to come on if they could just not be insufferable.
Let's talk it out like men.
Let's hug it out, bro.
Let's hug it out. If I hug it out,
I just need you to come off like your gas meter, like the D-bag meter that you're on. Like if you could just a little bit, but if not, we can handle that too.
Yeah, I don't know if 54 could handle the trash talk hour, because like even I got on there and was like, hey, you have to, like, Tanner's right about the thick skin. Whether I agree with you or not, I didn't say you were right about anything else. I said he's right about the thick skin thing, bro. Like you can't be an advocate for veterans and get triggered like that.
I take the legislative stuff for the VFW really seriously, not in the sense of like I get emotionally invested in it, but what it gave me a better appreciation for is how many causes there are under the vet umbrella. And like, while one might mean a lot to me, right? Like an organization like this or some of the other bigger VSOs, dude, like we have a lot of members. They're not all major, a lot of them don't give a shit about the Major Richard Star Act.
I don't even know what it is.
But who am I? Yeah. It means a lot to me. It's a financial incentive for me, but who am I to say that their blast overpressure cause is not as important, right? And that I have to drop everything I'm doing if I have a representative that is telling me, hey man, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sign it. Do I tell that guy to fuck off and then never talk to him again? Right? Am I doing my job to represent all veterans? Right?
Yeah, maybe not. Hey,
it's just like
Damien's back on the chat, and I'm going to make a joke about Damien. Damien, don't get triggered. But if you just read the first sentence and then your last sentence, I think you answered your question. I saw the Daily Wire, and then the last sentence, is that bullshit? Ooh, chances are yes. And if you read it on the Daily Wire, chances are it's clickbait, right? And you get that from every side, everyone. But again, let's see what he actually asked here. The descendant of the Shah of Iran is going to take power shortly. I mean, the homosexual guy from that platform. Okay, so we went right to his sexuality, which shouldn't mean anything in his governing ability. Sounded insane, as if they were going.
Yeah, just ask Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, I mean, there is. Yeah. You definitely. Yeah. Facts. I do need to call out everybody trashing the White House right now on the UFC being fought at the White House on the Army's birthday, on Trump's birthday. All right, everybody calm down. And there was a MAGA guy that was like, I don't think this is a permanent thing. And I made this guy votes face slap. Like, again, if you say something dumb, I don't care what affiliation you are. I'm like, you shouldn't be voting. Of course, the UFC octagon is not a permanent fixture at the fucking White House. All right. They've been talking about it for a year and a half, right? Every UFC fighter loves Trump. Trump loves the UFC. Most of America loves the UFC. And I'm going to put this out there right now. I don't think there's a sport out there, because soccer is soccer. It's the world's most popular sport, right? Mm-hmm. America doesn't care about soccer. So then that we will for a week, but like, we don't care. America cares about UFC, and UFC is the only sport that people from any country can come, fight, win, and be a superstar.
And it's also one of the most popular women's sports that is the most equality-based
3 of the top 5 highest paid people in the UFC are women.
Yes.
Right? And and this has nothing to do with Trump, but he just happens to like UFC. So again, I will take the POTUS's side on this, that if I was president, on my birthday, bro, you're fighting right here in my backyard. Like
he's actually saving taxpayers'
money
because he doesn't have to travel to the UFC fight.
Yeah. Like I'm building a baseball stadium, and you know what? Brewers, Cubs, you're playing right back here. Right? I'm watching it. It's my birthday. All right. And so again, is it right? We can argue that. Is it good for America? It is. All right. America.
I mean, I think you're lying. I mean, maybe I might get some shit for this. Like I'm not gonna not watch it, right? Like, there's no way I'm not, like, just because like I like USC fine. I will tell you, it is. I'm not. Is it the smartest decision for him to do? It's like, it's kind of.
I don't think he's worried about
the current situation we're at. Yeah, I know. No, it's gonna be. I imagine it's gonna be a great show. But man, if there is a let him eat cake moment, like for him, he might be putting a stamp on it right here.
I mean,
like my farmers out here paying.
I can see that argument, but there's going to be a lot of Americans eating cake that night because they're going to watch it.
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah, I can tell you the farmers out here that are paying $3,000 extra a week for
here we go. We
got to do
another TOC Monkey on this, because I wonder what the farmers were saying back in the late 70s and 80s when they started the war on hemp, and all the corn lobbyists were getting paid and making things turn. But well, I put that nugget in your head just for later.
I'm with you. Yeah.
All right, just for later.
Nah, dude, I think it's gonna be a great show. It's one of those, like, oof.
And the best is,
but it's gonna.
And here's America. We were talking about Defer doing the Sudanese dream of being a camel herder to gold miner.
Yeah.
Like they watched a fight 2 weeks ago. Trump was at it, and he's sitting next to Dana White, and he goes, "I want that guy in my backyard," and Dana's like, "Okay, I guess he's fighting on the main card." There.
I mean, what do you say?
Let's go. Yeah. Let's do it. But hey, shout out to Dana White. I think he's one of the greatest Americans of all time. Came up from being a bouncer, and watch our fight show on Saturday mornings with old Bill Pearson.
I know
old Bill Pearson, and send it 7. I'll remind him of that.
Thank you.
Send it 7. Taught 10 everything he knows except how to prepare for a podcast. So we'll get that. Anyways, hey, go to TOCMONKEY, all right, .com. Tanner built the website. See what he's talking about. Absolutely love you guys. Tanner, give us the last word before I close this out.
Yeah, a lot of you don't know this. That guy sitting right next to the asshole in front of the Ranger flag. I saw that question. That's Pat Broadhead. I'll put your whole name out there. I'll dox you. Absolutely one of the finest fire supporters in the world. Taught me everything I know about fires. And I got nothing but love for that man right there. He's a big part of my life. It's great to see you. I'm glad you made it out to LA. And have a blast, man. And then two-time best division champion and 82nd land for fire support, and I have him to thank for that.
All right,
sweet, man.
Love you guys. We'll see you Saturday morning.
Great to see you, Tanner.
Stay on, Tanner.
Yeah.